Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Analytics Are For the Nerds podcast. I don't look like Allie. I'm not Allie, but I'm Louie, and I'm in charge today, so you guys know that things are going to go downhill. As Allie would say, let's go. Wait, hold on. I'm not experienced doing both of these things. Hold on. Let's go.
Pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up.
I give you a B plus or so with your intro of mimicking. The only thing you really forgot though is the week 257 just random number. We needed it.
I got the wrong week. Couple things I can do. I could throw a little collarbone in. I could do that like Allie. I got a little shoulder. And I could brag about my championships like she brags. I got this little baby here, Leagues of Shopes and Dreams. Louie got, a little pretty thing. Got that at my recent draft. So, yeah, Allie might have championship rings for professional sports teams, but does she have a golden football, Ryan? I don't think.
Well, I don't think she has that. I also don't think she has a championship belt, which is what one of my leagues has that nobody else has gotten because I'm so bad at distributing it. So it just sits in the garage. But I really have to get better at that. Nick, who's coming on, is in now. You are in that league too. It's a Rust Belt league, so okay. I really have to get on that. So
that's really funny. That reminds me of. Swear to God, I was cleaning out. I got all my groomsmen for my wedding that led to so much success. But I got my groomsmen all these bats that were inscribed with their name and groomsmen, blah blah blah. I was cleaning out my basement the other day. I have 2 of their bats. That's how much they love the gifts. 2 of their bats are in my basement. I guess they don't really cherish gifts like I do. So I'm doing this whole big spiel, and we're already over. I've been hosting for 2 minutes. We're already over time. Allie's already mad somewhere. I could feel it. I could feel her anger somewhere that she's already expecting us to go over and over an hour, and she's not even here. So we'll bring in our guests. We're going to talk some Scott Fishbowl today. We're going to talk. We're going to do a great rivalry draft with our guys. GoBills. We got a lot on the maybe an everything and nothing segment. Even maybe we'll have someone pop in for that. But let's bring in our boys right now. Sean Stutzman, Nick Constantino. We might have Dom Bayrani. We don't know. He said he's missing. But he's probably in a draft somewhere.
I'm sure that's true.
How you guys doing?
Doing good. Thanks for having us.
You gotta give me a little bit of time here. I'm kind of getting back in my hosting chair and getting used to it. It's been a while, so it's gonna be a little bit weird here. Usually, I'm just the one that pisses off Allie. Still 10:22 in my house, though. In case anybody was wondering, I know Allie usually mentions it. I will bring that up here. Let's get a little touch base here, Sean. We were talking a little bit before the show. What's your current day look like in the fantasy football world?
Drafting a lot of fantasy football teams, man. I'm somewhere around 500 drafts deep now with pre-draft stuff, and then everything that started up for best ball over the summer. Nick, Dom, and I did the hard way Fantasy Pros draft through FFPC with a bunch of pros and analysts and stuff like that. So that was like the dumbest way to spend $350 because there's literally no chance that anyone in that league drafts a team that can win. But it's still a lot of fun. We drafted a team that we like at least, so you never know. But yeah, pretty much every day is drafting fantasy football teams, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Nick, what about you? How deep are you so far? Are you doing mostly best ball, or what are you?
Yeah, I'm actually at like about the same number of drafts. I just looked actually a couple days ago, so I'm at 506. So I do mostly fast drafts. Sean likes to dive into the slow draft streets a little bit more, but yeah, I like just getting into a groove, going to the gym to start the day, and then just coming home and drafting most of the day. It's kind of a day in the life.
Every time I think of slow drafts now, I think of Sean and Sean talking about being in slow draft hell at the Fantasy Football Expo, basically round the clock, twice a day or 3 times a day, right? What is your check-in schedule?
Usually right when I get up, and then 10 a.m., 4 p.m., and 10 p.m. are usually my
don't say you don't have to work for it. Don't say this isn't a grind, okay? You got to take this seriously. I love it.
No, I'm legitimately affecting every other aspect of my life to do fantasy football. The rest of my life has technically fallen apart around me. But you know what? I keep on that fantasy football schedule just fine. I ain't slacking on that, I'll tell you. All right, so let's get in a little bit here. We're all in the Scott Fish Bowl. Nick is hopefully going to be driving live with us. You're in 100%, right? You at least signed up, or no, you didn't.
I signed up, but I didn't get into it.
Somebody, one of the guys that like messaged me was like, "Hey, I didn't get it. I wasn't in the live." When I reached out to Scott, I go, "Hey, these 3 guys are in one of the divisions. We were trying to get them smoothed in and blah, blah, blah. I don't know what happened here." And he goes, "Well, you're not in one either." And they were filled. And honestly, luckily, Mike had to bail. So I took Mike's spot. I may have just been an organizer if that didn't happen. There was a lot of weird communication when it came to it, but whatever, we'll all be there. We're actually going to be live podcasting from there. Nick's already offered if he hasn't, if he doesn't get in, he'll sit down with Allie and do some interviews with the drafters. That's going to be a good time. The scoring just came out the other day. We'll go over it here real quick. Actually, Sean, I know you have it up. Would you mind? I'm sorry.
Yeah. You want me to just go from the top,
yeah,
really?
Go from the top, dude. Yeah, just do a quick rundown of what the scoring looks like.
So right off the bat is one of the biggest differences this year. Instead of being a point for every 25 yards passing, it's a point for every 50. So passing yard points are basically cut in half for quarterbacks, which is an interesting change. 6 points for a passing touchdown, pretty standard on that end. Then you get rushing points, again, similar to last year. A point for every 10 yards, 6 points rushing touchdowns, half a point for a first down rushing, and a quarter of a point per rushing attempt. But the big difference for running backs this year is for receptions, instead of being a full point, it's a half point specifically for running backs and quarterbacks, I guess. Receivers get full point per reception, a point for every 10 yards receiving, 6 points for a touchdown, and again, a half a point per first down. So receiving first downs for wide receivers are worth half a point as well. Tight ends get an extra half a point per reception, so 1.5 points per, and they get an extra full point per first down, which really adds a lot. Basically, a 10-yard catch for a tight end for a first down is worth I think 6 points, which is insane. It's basically a touchdown. Kicking points are the same as last year, where you get 3.3 for an extra point, and then decimal bonuses for field goals. But another big difference this year is kick returns. Any kick, punt, or kickoff return touchdown is worth 10, and every 5 yards per kick or punt return is worth a full point. So returners, guys who are returners and receivers, or returners and running backs potentially, increase their value massively. Huge bump for those guys. Rashid Shaheed is a guy that they kept talking about, where he would have been like the 27th overall player last year by points, which is outrageous. Not the 27th receiver, the 27th overall player. So that's
with the old kickoff rules. And I heard you talking about this pre-show as I was walking away for a minute, but this is, there's a lot to break down here. And we had talked about just kind of all 4 of us not really diving into this yet, just talking a little bit about this on the pre-show, going, it sounds like it's going to be pretty even across the boards and tough. So I'm glad we're going to kind of spitball here and talk about it. We're going to mock out a few rounds as well. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. One other thing I want to bring up that's important is the structure of rosters has changed a little bit too. So this year, the big change is you only have to start one of each position, technically. It's one quarterback, one running back, one wide receiver, one tight end, one super flex, so you can start 2 quarterbacks, and then 6 straight flex spots. Meaning, technically speaking, if you really wanted to, you could only start 1 wide receiver in a given week, and the rest you could use your 6 flex spots on tight ends if you have them, or running backs or whatever. So there's a lot more roster flexibility in terms of what you can do with your roster, and you're not forced into anything like a lot of traditional fantasy leagues kind of force your hand in terms of how many guys you have to play at each position. This is not going to do that at all.
Drafting 7 kickers, rounds 1 through 7, and
you can't do that.
Okay, all right, fine.
Yeah,
but that's really the part where I want to start here. I want to start because I heard you make the point. It was the same point I wanted to make here. I want to talk about the special teams thing because here it is. I would do exactly what you're saying to it. I would be looking at the Raheed Shaheeds, and I think that one specifically is a really good one to target here. But one thing you mentioned, and this is true, we don't know who's going to be in those roles because even those guys they're saying, okay, we're going to start with you because you're our kick returner. Once they see how these new rules go and the flexibility, and once these guys are showing that they're returning the ball 30, 40, yards, and there's a lot of openings, you don't think that Tyreek Hill isn't going to want to be out there returning kicks or, there's when these skilled guys, when these awesome guys are seeing that the injuries aren't happening and there's a lot of room to run out there on these kicks and a lot of like wiggle room to try to figure out how to defend it. These guys are going to be out there, and it's a crapshoot of trying to figure out which one of those guys are. But I just think that the highly athletic guys, those guys that are kind of on that fringe where you're like, they have everything it takes and they're not catching the balls. Like those guys are going to be exciting to even take bigger flyers on in this format.
Well, here's the 2023 NFL kick return leaders: Keyshawn Nixon, Xavier Gibson, Braxton Berrios, DJ Dallas, Velas Jones Jr., Rasheem Blackshear, Marvin Mims Jr. So I think this list is going to look a lot different. I think this is what you guys are alluding to. Based on these new kickoff rules, there's no question that teams are going to try and take advantage of this, the smart ones, and perhaps have some of their featured players, take advantage of these. So I think what this is going to do for Scott Fishbowl, right, in turn, it's going to really benefit the drafters who are going to be drafting later, I think, because you're going to get that information. But of course, at the same on the same token, when you're drafting, let's say in July, like we will be in Buffalo, you're all bound by the same information constraints, right? So you're just trying to be the best in the market, but it's really going to give an advantage to the people who are going to dive into those training camp reports and see who's out there for who's getting these snaps, because that's going to really, really make a big difference this year in the scoring format.
I totally agree, but here's my thinking on that is that I'm gonna try to be careful with not even reading in too many of those things, because I think it's such an experiment that, again, are they going to figure this out a little bit in training camp? Sure, but they're not going to get September, and I think that there's going to be, let's call it, I bet you 10 of the guys that start opening day in that role don't have that same role by October.
More.
Probably, right?
Like, they're going to be experimenting with different guys and stuff.
100%. I think it's going to be it might be seasons of experiment. I think not enough people are talking about this. I think it is going to be incredible for the game. I really do. I think it's going to be really fun. I think it's a little confusing, and some of NFL players in the Wonderlic have not shown. The Wonderlic score has shown that not everybody is the brightest. I wonder how it's going to go. But I think it's going to be really exciting when it starts getting going and how teams like start strategizing for it. I think it's bringing a new part of fantasy when fantasy kind of needs it. Like, I think this might boost up, certain players. And the coolest thing, what it's doing right now is really, especially in this format, is it's giving you an unknown, and unknowns are fun,
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, Mike McDaniel is the guy who said, I think a couple days ago, that he expects star players to be returning kicks pretty early on in this process because it's going to make sense to. I think you're going to put a bunch of offensive linemen out there, some good blocking wide receivers, maybe tight end, and your kick returner is going to be your best, most dynamic offensive player. So Tyreek Hill, Devin Achane. Don't be surprised if those guys are returning kicks right off the bat. Don't be surprised if Keon Coleman returns kicks for the Bills at some point this year. Khalil Shakir is another guy who could definitely step into that kind of role. Keon was a punt returner and kick returner in college. He has experience doing it. And in this format where you can create some dynamics, you can create space, and we don't know how guys are going to create space, and we don't know where it's going to go. I think you're going to see a lot of guys like that returning kicks.
You don't have to tempt me. Don't tempt me. Yeah, don't tempt me to draft Keon Coleman. I'll do it. I'll do
now
it.
You're getting crazy though.
Wide receiver too.
I think that there will be a lot of teams experimenting. Don't give McDermott that much credit. He is gonna he's gonna be like, catch the ball and roll over and just
he's gonna
7 conservative.
We'll see.
I don't know.
He's gonna bring back Frank Gore Sr. to
we'll see, man. I don't know.
I hope that they are ahead of the game, because like we are talking about here, it's going to be a lot of shuffling pieces. Nick, when you look at just the scoring here, and I know you're just introduced to it about an hour ago, and as most of us only have about 24 hours into it anyways, but what is your original thought? What's your first thought? What sticks out to you as far as the scoring goes, and what may switch your regular strategy for?
Yeah, the special teams is the thing that sticks out to me. Any return touchdown adds up to about 30 points if you do the math, because any return touchdown is at least 90 yards usually. So that's 18 points right there, plus the 10-point touchdown. So if you have a return touchdown in your matchup, that's probably winning your matchup. So yeah, getting the guys that actually do return and are on the field for 80+% of the plays are going to be guys that I'm going to be targeting. And those guys feel like they might even have more value than the quarterbacks that are generally the better play in Superflex league. So it's kind of evening out the skill positions to match the importance of the quarterbacks in this. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic. It almost feels like it's not Superflex with this if you find the right returners.
I'm wondering. I think we'll see. I haven't looked at any mocks. I know they've been going around, and like I said, we'll kind of play around with one here tonight for a few rounds. But I'm wondering if the early ones don't kind of treat it as a regular super flex, and then like I can't imagine in a room like ours, the Buffalo one, not to downplay anybody else, but we're very strong. I feel like we're a pretty strong room, and I wonder if quarterbacks don't slip a little bit in our draft, and I think it could be all of us trying to kind of outsmart the others, and then incredible value. But is there incredible value? I mean, that's the whole thing. Is there value in quarterbacks right now? As you said, Sean, you really only need to start one.
And with it going to 50 yards a point, us three playing a league called You've Been Playing Foosball, and we're used to this 50 yards a point. It's hard getting points that way. Like a 300-yard game, that's only 600. That's only 6 points right there.
Yeah.
A tight end can get that in one first down in this. So
the first guy that came to my mind, where I'm like, and 3 of you are going to be in the league with me, so whatever. But Jordan Love, give me Jordan Love is like QB 13. He's not a big yards guy. He was all about the touchdowns last year. Give me that guy in this format as QB 13, 14, maybe as my QB 1. Like, I don't care. I think I'll be playing around a lot with these, as I said, athletic profiles, trying to find wide receivers and running backs that not only have a shot to be part of the offense, but the special teams thing. Do you think I'm wrong to assume that this is automatically going to be the best year of returns in the history of the game? Like, do you think that it could be? Do you think it could bust totally and it's just nothing? I think it's going to be the best, but
it could bust, I guess, if teams aren't as efficient to innovate with the new rules. Sure, it could bust, but my assumption is with the athletes that are in the NFL, especially the athletes that are going to be returning these kicks, most likely, I think you're going to see an unbelievable jump in return touchdowns. I don't know how many there were last year, honestly, offhand. I'm assuming no more than 10 to 15. My guess is that number close to doubles. And you see at least 2 or 3 a week in the NFL this year across the different games. I wouldn't be surprised in the least if that was the case. Just based on what I know about the way this system works and the way the rules are going to change things, I think you're going to see a lot of that with a lot of these guys.
Well, what I like what the rule changes make you do for any league, including Scott Fishbowl here, is that it makes you think about your preparation just a little bit differently. What type of edges can I gain just by maybe focusing on what I perceive is going to be the information that's the most useful? So, for example, like what Louie says about Jordan Love and, anticipating that he's going to have high touchdown totals, right? Because that might be your edge at quarterback, right? Not really looking at yardage totals, but looking at for the 32 projected starting quarterbacks in the NFL, what are their projected pass touchdown totals, or even rushing included, right? Total touchdown, and maybe that's how you rank your quarterbacks this year. Who has the most potential firepower, right? And almost looking at it in a a best ball lens, right? With underdog, right? With 0.5 PPR, you're really trying to find those touchdown game changers that are going to swing the weeks for you. So that probably is going to play out in this league as well.
Well, let's kind of start here in the first round and try to mock a little bit. I feel like this is going to take longer than what I'm imagining, so maybe I'll just kind of cut it short as we're going here. But the first and most obvious question here, as you guys were talking, I'm just thinking is like 101.
101.
What do you do in 101 with a third round reversal and a super flex? I mean, it's usually smash Josh Allen, and I don't think I would here. I don't think you could. Not even would. I don't think you could unless you were going. I'm going one quarterback. Maybe you'd fill in with some later round guys. But if he's just going to be your stud and then you're just going to smash everything else. But I don't think I'm going Josh 101, but I don't have an obvious one off the top of my head. So let's start with you, Sean. Who would yours be?
Well, I have the 101 in our draft. So I have to answer this question for real. It's really tough. I think the actual right answer is still Josh Allen. But if we find out more information, if I found out tomorrow that Tyreek Hill is going to be returning kickoffs for the Miami Dolphins, I think you can justify taking him first. I think he's more likely to pay that off. If he returns 3 kicks for a touchdown this year, he's got to be the wide receiver 1 in fantasy, right? I mean, it's just a no-brainer in the scoring format. So
what he's already going to do.
It's crazy. So I think if you knew that, I think you could take Tyreek Hill first overall. But not knowing that for sure, I still think you either take Josh or you go Laporta or Kelsey, just because of the value of those 2 tight ends and the volume that they're likely to garner. I think you want to go for one of the high volume upside tight ends, or Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, the rushing quarterbacks, because you get that extra quarter point per rush attempt.
Yeah.
I think you want those guys who are going to have 80 rushing attempts, 100 rushing attempts, whatever that may be. I think those are the guys you want to be looking at. I think they have way more value. I'm going to say something that's going to, give some. I think Jaden Daniels should be a first-round pick in this format, probably. He might not be, but I think he probably should be. Just because he probably is gonna have 100 rushing attempts, and that's worth a lot. So I think my lean after all that, I still think I take Josh Allen as of today. But man, I am not sure. I am not sure at all, and that can change tomorrow.
I think sitting here today, I have an earlier draft. I'm pick 3. I think sitting here today, I think I might rather have a late round draft pick because I also think that you may get some crazy good value on the top 3 running backs at the end of the first and the beginning of the second, because I think CMC, Bijan, and Brees are, maybe a tier above the rest of them in that group. Just even based on their projected touchdown totals, right? I mean, those are, I think, the 3 guys that could have, what is it? I
don't have Gibbs far off of that. Sorry to interrupt, but I don't have Gibbs far off of that. But yeah, you're right.
But yeah, sure. So, is it the legendary upside, right? Is that Pat Kerrane's, his company, right? He talks about having the ability to really kind of blow the doors off, right? And you're really getting that at that position. And the other benefit too, right? If we look at the Superflex drafts, right, the one contest that Underdog just ran, the positional change in that tournament was that you could start 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers, right? So you don't have to start that additional receiver. So the running back value is clearly inflated. It boosts up. And that's similar here, right? I mean, you start 1 tight end, 1 wide receiver, 1 running back. So if you gain an advantage on at running back where there really is a potential cliff that can fall off, if you get not only pick the right guys that are going to stay healthy, but the ones that kind of go off, that's going to be a huge advantage for your team too.
Yeah. Nick, you have any other thoughts on the 1-1?
Yeah, I think you can make the case for Anthony Richardson in this conversation too. I think with the extra rushing upside, I think he's got just as high of a ceiling as those top quarterbacks. So the beauty of the way the scoring is, I bet every room's going to be a little different. It's going to make for some unique teams, a bunch of different builds just throughout the contest. So it'll be a lot of fun to see how these drafts play out.
1-1, I think you may have talked me into. I don't know. I think. I mean, is that what we're saying? Are we saying Allen? Everybody think Allen would be the. I mean, none of us seem firm on it, but I guess 1-1.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Going to head, it's probably Josh. Yeah.
1-1. I love the idea of Tyreek Hill as the 1-2, and so I mean, I think you made a really good point there. I would jump on that unless Ryan or Nick want to fight really hard for anybody else. But I think I could justify Ty Hill being a 1-2 here. I think he's the one guy in that next tier that jumps up the most because of the format, right?
Yes.
And because of knowing Mike McDaniel, knowing that that he's going to be the one that's going to try different things with this.
It doesn't feel like any of the other top receivers are in play for actually getting a role like that. I don't think
probably not.
CD, Jefferson, I can't. Chase is going to be doing it. So
St. Brown, none of those guys are going to be doing that.
I'm good with putting Tyreek Hill on our 1-2. Ryan, Nick, any big?
I think I'd agree with it on under the premise that it's likely for the kickoff to make a difference. The only other one I would consider there, I think, is Lamar. Just again based on the rushing upside, same reason as Josh. So,
all right, let's. I got a better idea here. Let's go around. So we're not doing this. We'll go around doing it, and then if anybody wants to fight anybody and push for someone else, then we'll push for someone else. So I'll just start here at 1-3, and then we'll just go around in a circle, and if somebody wants to fight for somebody to speak up. At 1-3, take both of your guys into account. I'm gonna go Richardson here though, just because I'm a Richardson stan. But I think I got Nick and Sean here, so we won't fight too much about that. We kind of know where that is, and I go ahead, Rye. I think you would want Lamar here. Then is what you?
Yep. Yeah, I think it's Lamar.
I don't think I'd fight too much on that either. So okay, we got Allen, Tyreek. I'm gonna write these down here as we're going. So then, Sean, where are we at 1-5?
I think I'd still go Hurts. I think the rushing is. I think again he's going to be running often enough that you're going to get enough value from him on the ground, along with what should be a good passing offense. I mean, we don't know. They were a nightmare down the stretch last year, but he was still getting his in terms of fantasy points. So I still think Hurts would be the 105 for me.
I'd like to fight against Hurts a little bit, and I'll make a point, and then we can kind of round back to it. But there's a couple things. The end of the year, whatever is definitely still there. Too many times we see with these mobile quarterbacks, it change really quick when the league catches up to them. And I think by the end of the year, we may have started seeing that. I think Barkley is going to take a lot of those touchdowns. I think the tush push is. I think you're going to see Barkley get a lot more of those than what people think. I think people are devaluing the wrong person. People are devaluing Barkley because of the tush push. I think you should be devaluing the tush push because of Barkley. I think he's going to end up eating up those touchdowns. I love Barkley this year. I think he could easily be RB1 when it's all said and done if everything goes right. So I'm fighting against Hurts. I don't have a really good person to put here, so I'm gonna say, I would go with Laporta here. I think I would go Laporta as my 1-5. Anybody you guys want to chime in on one or the other?
I was going to say Laporta too. So
Laporta.
Not this
Ryan, you want to go along with that or
yeah, it's tough. I mean, I'm not a Hurts guy either. I do think he's just been pumped up by the high rushing touchdown totals. I think I might rather jump to someone like Jaden Daniels here if you really think that and bet on that rushing upside. But it's probably early for him. And this is also you're talking to a guy who took Justin Fields last year in Scott Fish. Did not go great. Although who knows, maybe he is going to be returning kicks and but that'll be a great
and taking over for Wilson. How great would that? Justin Fields is the 101. What did we do? Yeah. He's going to be the starting quarterback and returning kicks.
So I guess to make a vote, I'm gonna stick with Sean. I'm gonna say it still hurts. Just to.
Well, we'll go Hurts here, seeing that he was the original pick. We would need 3 votes against it to exchange it. So we'll go Hurts, and then Nick. You are the next one, so I would imagine.
Are we going to do Laporta? Yeah, I would say Laporta.
I'm backing you on that. Sean's
Kelsey. It's close. It's close in the format.
Close, but you're okay with Laporta, right? You're okay with it. Oh, you don't think? Go ahead. You can make that point.
I think Kelsey's a better pick in this format. I think he's gonna have more catches and more first downs, and I think that's more important. Laporta. I don't think Laporta is gonna be able to eclipse those specific numbers for Kelsey. And I think catches and first downs are where you get your edge at tight end in this contest. So in this format, I would put Kelsey ahead of Laporta. It's not like by a mile or anything, but I think because I would expect to see a higher receiving volume in terms of catches and likely more first downs receiving for Kelsey, I think that actually gives him a little bit of an edge over Laporta. I'm not going to fight it significantly. You're not going to tell me that Laporta is a bad pick here. Certainly not. But I think Kelsey is a slightly better spot in this scoring system.
I'll tell you this. You talked me into it. We'll put him down after Laporta, though. Laporta, I'm next. You did sell him, but Laporta is going to be our 1-6. Kelsey will be our 1-7, and then Ryan. I'll tell you what. You want to go with the name that you use? I'm okay with Jaden here if you want it, but it's your pick. I'll let you talk.
Yeah. I mean, CMC here is a consideration. I think I think I might have to. I think I'm going to pick CMC over Jaden Daniels. I think I would have to.
That's
fine.
Think
Philly did not do that. So.
I think that's smart. Oh, I love this. I love already how this first round looks, and that these drafts are gonna be a lot of fun already. I can tell. Sean, why don't you get us to 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 1, 9?
I'm going to take Breece Hall. I think for the same reason that I think Ryan wants to take McCaffrey over Jaden Daniels. I think you should take Brees Hall. Same way. I think you could have 300 carries this year and 85 catches. And there's not many guys who have done that in the history of the sport. And I think he's one of the rare few who's capable of it in the offense that he's in. And in this format, that's going to be an unbelievable season. And I think that he is the kind of running back that you're looking for. And I think he's a better play than the quarterbacks in terms of actual scoring that you can get from that position in terms of how much more he's going to score. Yeah. So
I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Anybody want to fight that hard?
No, that was well put. That's perfect.
Yeah.
110, Nick, where would you go? It's tough,
Let's see.
right?
This might be a pushback one. I feel like Kyler Murray in this format would be pretty nice.
I'm not going to
we-
push you. I'm not going to. I like that. He was one of my top 2 choices here.
Yeah, we didn't call out Jaden Daniels, right? So we got Richardson and Lamar off the board. So I think he's the next rushing quarterback.
Yeah.
You could make the case with Daniels. I don't know. I guess I have Kyler maybe just a little bit higher though.
I think that's fine. I'm totally okay with that. I'm gonna go Jaden Daniels here just because I know the interest is with amongst us, and
Okay. I'm not going to push back on that.
No. I'm saying we're gonna put Kyler. I'm just going after you. Yeah. No, Kyler is gonna be that, and then I'll go Jaden right after that. And,
those 2 are really close.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And to close out the first round,
I'm tripping over myself getting to the podium to announce the pick of Bijan Robinson at 1.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's an easy closeout pick, which is why I said earlier that I really think the end of the first is a beautiful spot to be in. Because you're going to get potentially one of the top 3 running backs and a rushing quarterback. I'm going to immediately try to trade somebody at the end of this first for sure.
And then the 3rd round reversal.
Right.
It's just great. Let me just run through our first round real quick, and we're making good time, so we'll probably be able to get through at least one more. But Josh, Tyreek Hill, Richardson, Lamar, Hurts, Laporta, Kelsey, CMC, Hall, Kyler, Jaden, and then Bijan. Man, what a weird look for a super flex. So let's go.
Yeah.
Let's try to, at least build it based off of how we're building the team. So 2-1 already have Bijan.
We already have Bijan.
Yeah, would already have Bijan. So let's go with that, Sean.
Then I think if we already have the running back, it's either going to be Trey McBride or Patrick Mahomes at this spot. I think I lean McBride over Mahomes, just because we don't know as much of what the ceiling for McBride's actual production can be. He might actually be I think there's a chance that he ends up outproducing Laporta this year, even though Laporta's going as the tight end 1. I think the upside in that offense, the fact that offense could be unbelievably concentrated on 2 guys, and he's one of them, could be pretty spicy. So I think I'm going to go with Trey McBride.
I wanted you to that's fine. I want to fight against him only so I can pair.
You can get Kyler.
Right away, I was thinking, man, that would be like you're sniping me in this fake draft right now, and I'm pissed. But no, I can't fight McBride too much there.
Yeah,
I like that. So we'll just put him in as the 2-1. But I thought I was going to get a nice Kyle, but just throwing you late first rounders a bone here. That might be something you look to do in your draft. A little Kyler McBride double tap there, All right.
Spicy move.
All right, 2-2. Nick, what are you thinking?
I feel like this is either Mahomes or Andrews. What did this team do in the first?
Jaden Daniels.
Okay, so I would say then we just go with Mark Andrews here. Lock up another tight end that could be tight end 1. He feels like one of the last tight ends where he could be tight end 1. I think with pairing with an elite quarterback, that'll give you a big advantage. So I'd go with Andrews here.
Yep, I like that. The next one is Kyler and Man, that makes this a little bit harder. Because again, could Mahomes keep going down? Because I don't think you want to start quarterback in this format. I don't see a situation where I would. So I'm gonna stay true to that feeling, and I'm gonna go. I think you gotta go CD here. I mean, CD's it's 2-3. He could easily be wide receiver 1. I do think his chances of being wide receiver 1 in this format's not great, but when we're talking about lining up with Kyler here, I don't see the 2 quarterback after CD. Honestly, I don't even want to. I won't spoil who else was on my mind in case somebody else was thinking about it. But CD here at 2-3, so 2-4. Go ahead, Rye.
Who was the pick in the first?
Breece Hall.
Oh, all right. Easy decision then. It's Pat Mahomes. You got to get a quarterback here. It's an insane slide, just based on how good he is in real life football. So you do have to separate the two when you're looking at formats, especially ones where scoring is manipulated like this, but it's a great value. Just quickly on CeeDee Lamb, I don't think that when we're drafting in a month from now that he gets out of the first round regardless. I still think that he's one of those.
Yeah.
He's like CMC to me, where he could, kind of break the position just with the amount of touchdowns and volume he's going to get. Nice value at 203 though in the mock.
Yeah. All right, Sean. The 2-5 team has CMC.
Huh. That makes it tougher. I was actually going to go a little bit off the board and get a little spicy, but I think that means I'm going to go Dalton Kincaid. I don't think I want a quarterback here. I think Dalton Kincaid closes out a tier at tight end, and I think that's going to be where we're going to go.
That's what I was thinking other than CD there.
I figured.
So,
yeah.
I like that. I'm not fighting that. Ryan, Nick, you want to fight that at all? I don't.
Nope.
No, it's just those are fighting words. Just fighting words.
Took him over Andrews.
Yeah. I was shocked he didn't.
Him and Andrews are really close, so you can make the case for Kincaid over Andrews if you really want to.
Fighting words were saying that it's an end of the tier without including Kyle Pitts, my boy.
I said it's close to the end of the
tier. No, it's the end.
Nick, your 1-6 or 2-6 has Kelsey.
Okay, this team went Kelsey here, huh? Okay. Wow, there's 3 players I'm thinking here. Let's go with Jahmyr Gibbs, the last running back that I feel like has running back 1 upside.
I'm not fighting that at all. I like that.
I'm going to fight it.
Okay, Sean's going
to. So one of the things that brings running back's value in this format is getting a handoff. Jahmyr Gibbs doesn't do that so much, and running back catches are only worth a half a point.
Okay,
so to me, I'd rather have Taylor or even maybe Barkley than I would Gibbs. As good as Gibbs is, I love Jahmyr Gibbs. I think he's going to be outstanding.
But I think so good as that catching.
The catching of and that's not as important in this format as a running back. It still matters, but it matters, I think, a decent amount less, to the point where I do think I would value volume rushers over a player like Gibbs, as electric as he is. Yeah. He would need to score high teens touchdowns, like 17, 18 touchdowns, I think, to pay that off. And I just don't see that in his range realistically. So I think I would take Taylor or Barkley here over Gibbs.
Who are the other two guys you were thinking about, Nick?
I like Jamar Chase and Pitts here as well.
Yeah.
Those
are fine too, but
we have Kelsey. We have Kelsey here, so I don't think
Kelsey. Yeah, I don't think.
I mean, you could actually. No, you could do that.
You could go. Listen, I am a double tap tight end king. It has not led to me. I have not won $1 million though, so I am not gonna say.
I'm cool putting Pitts as this pick, because to me he is the last tight end that could be tight end 1. So
I'm fine with that.
We could just bully tight end in this spot.
Is a little bit exciting.
I mean, you did that in Scott Fish last year, so you're all about the double tight end start.
I did, but I did Andrews and Hopkinson, and that
Yes.
didn't work out too great.
No.
But shut up. We're gonna do was it me and Laporta? I think I gotta go Stroud here. I think it's too much of a drop for Stroud. Mixing with the tight end. Is there anybody here to consider over Stroud? It's not going to be Burrow. It's not going to be Dak. You know, the mobile quarterbacks are all done. I think it's got to be Stroud. So I'll go Stroud here with Laporta. Next pick, Ryan, your team has Hurts already.
Okay, and what pick is this? It's
this is 2, 6, 7, 8, 2-8.
2-8. Okay. So I have a couple of because of the third round reversal, I wonder if this team is hoping that they could somehow get both Chase and Burrow, but that's probably not going to happen. There's no tight end we're taking here. I think it's probably between Chase and Taylor for the reasons that Sean said earlier about getting carries. I mean, he's one of the actually, you know what? No, we have Hurts. I mean, do we want 2 Eagles though in this format? I mean, aren't you betting against yourself then if you have Hurts and you take Barkley?
Yeah.
I was thinking more AJ Brown, and I'm sure he's someone you could get in the third round with the reversal. But like, is that exciting at all?
Not for
I
me.
think you could push him. I feel like in this.
I think
format.
you can push him for the third round.
Yeah.
But do you want to? Let's start with that question that Brian asked. Do you think stacking is anything you really want to focus on in this? I don't think so.
I don't think it's super meaningful. You are, technically speaking, you are in week 17 in a large field GPP type format where you're trying to outscore the field, but you're also getting points from your average on the year and stuff. So I would say no. I don't think you should prioritize it in any way. If you think you have Taylor above Barkley, I don't think there's any reason to take Barkley with Hurts type of thing. Like, I don't think that correlation is going to be all that valuable in Scott Fish ball.
Use it as a tiebreaker, but that's probably about it, right?
And
like,
a very thin tiebreaker at best. Like there's probably other things you would want to use more as your tiebreaker than that. Like, yeah.
It might even be a better to fade it with all the sharp.
It might be.
You know.
That's the thing. It might be a negative correlation, right? You don't want to necessarily have Barkley scoring a lot of touchdowns if you're expecting that from Hurts and vice versa, right? So
in that exact situation, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I think here my vote then would be Jonathan Taylor.
Yep.
I'm not going to fight that.
With that.
All right, then, Sean, your team has Lamar.
Yep. I'm gonna go off the board a little bit. And reach for a player a little bit ahead of where he normally goes. I'm going to take Evan Ingram here. I think a guy who last year showed that he's capable of having 120 catches from the tight end position in a league where tight end catches are worth extra points and tight end first downs are worth extra points is worth having. I had him last year on my team. I think he was the tight end 1 in the format last year, and the scoring is just as beneficial for tight ends this year as it was last year. So I'm going to take Evan Ingram here. It's a little dicey probably because he might not just repeat that season, but if he has 100 catches again, he's going to be worth your while in this spot at this pick. So that's where I'm going to go.
The only thing I want to fight against it is I think as this team, I could feel pretty comfortable with him being available in the third round in 7 picks. So I would, but he is probably the next tight end up.
The third round reversal.
Third round reversal. So they would be up in because you're gonna, right? Oh, you're right. You're right. This is going to be the end of the round 3 again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Honestly, he probably wouldn't come back.
No, he
He's
wouldn't come
probably
back.
better than
So
a guy like Kittle in this. So he
I
would
think
be
he's
next
better
tight
than
end.
Kittle, and yeah, I think he's the next tight end off the board. I'm not going to fight
Yeah.
you too much on it. I'm not a big Ingram guy, but if you're taking your stand like that, then sure.
Yeah, in most formats, I'm not really either, but in this, yeah, I'm into it.
Good. No, I like the reasoning. All right, Nick, your team has A-Rich picking here.
And Jamar Chase hasn't went yet?
Has not gone yet.
Yeah, I think this is where I would take the top receiver here.
I think so,
there's
right?
nothing really sticking out to me
that
I think would be better. Wait, we haven't taken Saquon yet, though?
Correct.
No Saquon.
Yeah.
Man, maybe it's actually Saquon in this type format. He is going to get peppered. Actually, scratch Chase. Yeah, we're going Saquon here.
Wow.
I think he's going to be nice in this format. They're going to give him.
I love it. I love it. It's just crazy that we're getting to a point because now I have the Ty Hill team. I can't take Chase as much as I would want to.
Yeah.
I kind of have to get on quarterback here, seeing about the 3rd round reversal. And it's ugly here. I honestly don't think I would. I think I would push it. The only guy I would think about here is Caleb because of the unknown potential. But I don't think I would take Tua or Burrow. Or, Love. No.
Dak.
Dak.
Yeah.
No. I think I could go Williams here. Outside of that, I think I'm man, it's just so tough because you want a quarterback here to match with Ty. Is Tua an option here because of Hill? And again, we're trying to stay off the stacking. No. I'm not big on Tua in this format. No. I want to say I'll go Williams. I'll go Caleb. I think he makes sense.
No pushback on that.
All right.
That's fine. I think that's
reasonable. I like the unknown upside. I mean, him and Burrow are probably pretty close, but the unknown upside of Caleb could, with the rushing potential, could be nice.
I'll say it here. We can talk about this for a minute. I'm way off Burrow right now. And this is like from the beginning of the offseason, I'm like, he's going to come back and T. Higgins is going to be reinvigorated and everyone's going to forget how good they were and they're going to be great. And then you just start hearing about this wrist and then this, that. I'm scared as hell about that offense. And
not enough people are talking about that side of it. Most people are just assuming they're going to go right back to Cincy from 2 years ago.
Oh, I'm a little bit. I've talked myself into being scared about them and really slowing down. I was picking Chase above that whole tier of like I was picking Chase at 1-2 a lot early in the off season and stuff like that. And I just really started calming down after more and more stuff has come out about this risk. But so I don't mind him not going here. But with that being said, Ryan, you're going to pick him here with the Josh Allen team or no?
So he's the leader in the clubhouse. I will just mention one other name that I think is a sneaky, type pick that I think is going to rise continue as we go throughout the summer. But Derrick Henry, I think he's going to
just thinking him. That's just
for the same reasons, guys, that we were just talking about. Barkley and Taylor. Like, they're going to run him into the ground. Who does he have behind him? Really, nobody. And so
week 16.
It's a rental. It's, an offense that I think is going to really frustrate a lot of defenses because they're going to have these 2 looks at all times. They're not going to know how to stop it. And I think Henry's going to have at least, 10 to 12 touchdowns, and a ton of carries, which are just going to be monstrous. So he's a 2nd round pick, I think, by the, when this is all said and done.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that. That's our 2nd round. It's done.
How many receivers total did we draft? Was it
3?
2?
We got 2. No,
Hill and Lamb.
CD, Ty Hill, and
we didn't call Jamar there. Yeah,
wow, isn't that crazy? 2nd round looks like Trey McBride, Mark Andrews, CD, Mahomes, Kincaid, Pitts, Stroud, Taylor, Ingram, Saquon, Caleb, and then Henry, and 2 receivers taken in the first 2 rounds. That's pretty interesting.
That's unlike this group.
We're gonna have to move on here. We're not gonna be able to do a 3rd round. Maybe if you guys are willing to come back either next week. I don't think we have Allie next week either. Maybe we can continue this a little bit because this is interesting. But going in now, before I start anything, you guys good? We're at 55 minutes. You guys going with another half hour or no?
That's fine with me.
All right. Let's do the NFC North thing before we do our draft. We broke down NFC East last week, I believe, Ryan, where we're gonna just rank 4 quarterbacks, 4 top 4 running backs, top 4 quarterbacks, top 4 wide receivers, top tight ends in the division, and then we'll do 1 sleeper, 1 bust. We'll do that kind of as one at a time here. So let's just start with the rankings, and with Ryan, why don't you do your top 4 NFC North quarterbacks?
Okay. So this one was, I think, the most straightforward ranking for me when I was running through this pre-show. So for quarterbacks, I have it as Jordan Love finishing as the top quarterback, scoring fantasy points. We'll just say standard quarterback scoring. We'll call it that, just a vague term.
Yep.
Caleb Williams, I actually will have second. I'm a big believer in his talent. He's just a great prospect, and I think he's going to immediately step in with the weapons in that offense and just start to score right away. Goff is third for me. It's a close third. I expect all of those guys to be somewhat, in the low 300s, somewhere in that range. And then finally, I have it as McCarthy. I know a lot of people expect Darnold to start a handful of games. I do too, but I think by the season's end, McCarthy is still going to have more, at least more starts, which will hopefully then mean some more points. But he'll be the last of the 4. So
I, as you know, and as my co-host, and you two should know as loyal listeners, I'm sure, Sam Darnold, I'm on the train.
Oh, God.
He is going to play all 16 games. Bet him on the comeback player of the year right now with all these big favorites, the Rodgers and all these guys. It's going to be Sam Darnold. He's going to lead Minnesota to the playoffs. They're going to have a Breeze and Rivers type situation. You heard it here first and second, third, and fourth, because I keep mentioning it, and we'll delete these when but I'm going the same way as you, Ryan. I want to put Caleb first. I really do. But I will go love Caleb Goff. But I will go Darnold there in the 4 spot, thinking that I don't think he's going to let me just tell you right now, I'm not saying that Sam Darnold's going to be great at fantasy football. I don't think he ever had that ceiling. But I think he's going to be I think he's going to stick that out there this year. But do either of you want to disagree with that order? Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I'm going to take Caleb at 1.
Yeah.
I think Caleb's going to have a monster year. I think he's going to be slightly better than Jordan Love. So I'll switch those 2, and then the rest is the same.
I could be easily swayed into that. I don't think that that's wrong at all. And
my exposures reflect that too, for sure.
Love
way more Caleb than Love.
Don't you think Love's going to have some touchdown regression, right? And then it's just to me maybe. That I think he comes down. I don't know. You're right. Maybe. I mean, again, we only have one full year.
I actually like Love a lot. I just don't like.
Just because good receivers in Green Bay over there. They got some guys. So
there is.
Not better than Chicago's. Not better than Chicago's.
No, we didn't say that.
Love isn't better than Caleb. So I don't know.
We'll see about that. We'll see about that year 1. We'll see about that year 1. I like Caleb long run.
You want to do running backs, Ryan?
Sure. So I have this as Gibbs first, Jacobs second, Swift third, and Ty Chandler actually in 4th. I'm not a Aaron Jones guy. I think he's washed. And I think the cliff is pretty steep for running backs. So Chandler showed some juice in the last couple of games when he was given the opportunity, and I think the team kind of likes him. And I don't expect Jones to hold up. So over the full season, give me Chandler in that 4th spot. And then just quickly, Jacobs, if he can stay healthy, he's going to be a workhorse. I think they're going to try to, just like, Henry and Baltimore, they're just going to try to run him down. I know they're going to get Lloyd involved. I love him. He's a great, 14th round, 13th round pick. But, I'm still believing in Jacobs and that offensive line. So Gibbs, Jacobs, Swift, and Chandler is what I have it.
I like Jacobs, but I don't see that workhorse role. They haven't done that with any running back that they've had there.
I'm going Gibbs, Swift, and I'm going Lloyd then Jacobs. I do think it's more so going to be, I'm more playing the going to get hurt role, not so much being outplayed, but I do think we're going to start with a sizable role, like you said, Ryan, and I think there's just Jacobs is what now? Sean, you're the brain. How old is he now? 28,
I believe. I believe he's 28.
Jacobs?
7.
Yeah. No, he's 25 or 26. He's younger.
Yeah.
Really?
26.
Yeah.
26.
Okay.
Just turned 26.
Yep.
He's a running back 28.
He's old 26.
It's like dog years. Yeah, and the dog years, you add 3 years or something like that, whatever. Yeah, I just like Lloyd there. I want to bet on him being serviceable. I don't want to bet like against Jacobs or anything. I'm not drafting him anywhere. I think one thing that's pretty telling about both of our lists, though, is that they don't include Aaron Jones. So, Nick or Sean, are we wrong on that? Would you guys have Jones in your top 4?
I would, but I also want to make a point on the Green Bay situation that probably is one thing that not many people look into. You should take a peek at Marshawn Lloyd's fumbling tendencies in college because it's a real thing. Like, his numbers are off the charts bad. Now, his talent is undeniable. He could be outstanding, but if he doesn't fix that issue, he may not see the field at all. So there is some real downside to Marshawn Lloyd. I love his talent. Again, I want to make it clear, I draft him. I think he's a very interesting prospect, but there is some significant, hey, this guy fumbles twice in his first 2 games and he doesn't see the field for 6 weeks type of issues there. So there are some real concerns there. That being said, I have it Gibbs first, very, very comfortably. And then I actually have Aaron Jones second. I have him ahead of Jacobs and Swift. I have it Jones second, Jacobs third, and Montgomery fourth. I don't think that the Bears running back room is going to go exactly the way everyone thinks. I think Swift is an interesting piece, but there is too much going on there that I think there's a little too much competition in that backfield for him to actually outscore some of the guys that I think are likelier to get some points. And I think Montgomery just gets 14 touchdowns and outscores the rest of those guys. So, but I do like Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Jones is going to be really good in Minnesota. I know maybe he is dust, but I don't really buy it. I think with a likely rookie quarterback looking for a safety valve who doesn't have TJ Hawkinson to throw to, yeah, Justin Jefferson's awesome. But I think Aaron Jones is going to get a lot of volume in the passing game. Maybe he gets hurt. Maybe he is too old. But barring that, I think he's very likely to be a top 4 producer in that division and from that position. So.
I like that point, and I've thought that. I guess I'm just banking on him not holding up. But
he might not.
The point that he's going to be a check down for But again, I want to stick up for Sam Darnold and say that it's not going to be a rookie quarterback, but Sam Darnold will be doing his checking down too. Yeah.
What's the difference?
It's not going to be much of a difference. Nick, any big difference between ours? You want to go through?
Yeah, actually, it sounds like all 4 of us are different on this one, so that's fun. This one pains me because I'm a Swift slappy, but I would have it Gibbs first, and then Jacobs second, and then Aaron Jones third, and then Montgomery fourth. I'm I'm nervous that Swift is just like I feels like they could be a committee type backfield. I love that offense, but I guess I don't love the running back situation. I like playing the running back situation a little more through Herbert and Roschon and just kind of banking that they're going to give enough work to them and you're getting them in rounds 15, 16 of most drafts. So I like playing that backfield a little bit more through the backups, which is interesting because I started the year really liking Swift, but I'm just getting bad vibes about Swift.
Is Swift good? Are we finally gonna find it? I love him. Like I've always I dated a girl recently that everybody was like, oh, she's really cute. She's a great personality, and I just couldn't like. And this is how I feel with Swift. Like I feel like there's something there that everyone should love. Why are you not loving us back? Why is this? And I kind of agree. I like Roschon when he had he just they're. I don't hate Herbert. Like I think
Herbert's a good running back.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a role there. So I think Swift's going to get the chance to pull away early.
He will. But what he does with it is the next question. Yeah, the main question.
Chicago also strikes me as a team that could move, or I think is even likely to move Herbert.
Sure.
There's going to be so many of these running back needy teams come late July.
Want a guy like him. Yeah.
Dallas, right? I mean, someone,
Baltimore.
Right. So, right. I think there's going to be some movement, and I love. That's another reason I do love Roschon. I think he's criminally undervalued right now in drafts. So I constantly am scooping him up for the same reason that there is probably a committee. I just think there's going to be a big cliff. Like you have the Gibbs and the Jacobs tier, and then you're going to have Swift and Chandler. I think the rest of the running production in the NFC North is not going to be that great. So we see it kind of similarly, but just a little bit different, which is nice because you get some different perspectives, right? From
yeah. Well, this one's going to be great and hard for sure. But let's try to blow through it a little bit here because of time purposes. I will go first. I'll lead in. I'm probably pretty chalky here, but who knows with this division. I'm going to go JJ, St. Brown, DJ Moore, and then Jaden Reed as my top 4 this year. I think that there's a couple guys missed there that I can definitely see jumping up, but that's going to be the way I see it. Rye, any differences there?
I have a flip between St. Brown and Jefferson, just based on the quarterback play. I have DJ Moore next, just like you do, but my 4th is Rome Odunze, and that's a bit of a hot take, but I do believe in this, the kind of the rookie connection, right? They're coming in together. I think, Caleb, if he is what we expect him to be, I could easily see him having, an early rapport with him, and as the season goes on, generating, quite a bit of points between the two of them. And, look, let's be real. Keenan Allen hasn't really been able to show that he can stay healthy. It's likely a 1-year thing for him anyways. So who's to say that he couldn't be the 4th? The other one, the other reason, just quickly on why I didn't put Reed there, I have such a hard time figuring out who I think the top option is going to be in Green Bay because of what we've talked about so many times, which is they're going to take targets away from each other. They have so many guys, they're going to rotate them in and out. I can expect them to kind of limit each of their ceilings. So while they might have 3 guys that are just behind Rome, this is how I see it, playing out.
Yep, I don't hate that. I wanted to find a way to get Rome in here. I just couldn't find it. Sean?
Well, I'm going to be fun. I'm not going to have either of the 2 Bears you mentioned. I am going to have Keenan in mind. It's going to be Jefferson, Amon-Ra, Keenan, and then Romeo Doubs in Green Bay. When all those guys played for Green Bay, the guy who got the most volume was Doubs every time. He is the guy that Love likes to throw the ball to. He was the guy who threw them the ball. He threw the ball to down the stretch. He was the guy who threw the ball to in the playoffs. So I believe that Romeo Doubs is going to be the number 1 receiver in Green Bay, and I think that's going to be a significant role. As for Keenan over Odunze and DJ Moore, I think Keenan Allen is the perfect wide receiver for any rookie quarterback because he's always open and he catches everything. And as good as DJ Moore is as a receiver, he's awesome. But he's not the kind of guy that is he's not reliable the way that Keenan offense where you know where Keenan's going to be. He's going to be open. He's going to catch it. It's just going to happen. Now, I understand there's some injury risk there, but Keenan's coming off like a 1,400-yard season last year in an offense that was mostly inept outside of himself. And now he's got two other high-level receivers to take coverages away from him. And I tend to think that Caleb is going to go to Keenan early and often, and he ends up leading that team in targets and receptions. And and that's how it shakes out in Chicago. So we'll see.
Nick,
I have it just a little different than Ryan. I did it Jefferson, St. Brown, DJ Moore, and then Keenan Allen for all of the reasons that Sean just gave about Keenan Allen. I think Odunze you can make the case for here too, and Jordan Addison. But if you give me one of those guys, and this is full PPR or best ball, we're talking.
We're talking, full PPR, I guess.
Full PPR, it would be Keenan. You can make the case for maybe some of the other guys in best ball, but if we're talking like a managed league, full PPR, give me Keenan.
I think they're all going to have spike weeks. I think it's going to be really hard to play them in lineup leagues for sure. But that's kind of the league right now, right? Like, I mean, Houston's got that. They got that. Buffalo has it, but in a whole different sense. And I know we were going to talk about that, but we probably won't get to that today as far as the Buffalo Bills wide receiver corpse. But
give me Keon.
Yeah. Ryan, you don't have to convince Ryan. Ryan, go ahead. We'll hold on. Let's quickly do sleepers.
Tight ends. Tight ends.
We got tight ends too. Fucking Christ. All right. Go ahead, Ryan. Do your tight ends real quick. Top four. Get through them quickly, please.
Laporta, Kmet, Musgrave, Hawkinson. Hawkinson, look, I know his injury was really bad. Just if he comes back, I expect him to still be a part of the offense. Who knows how healthy he's going to be, but I had to put him on the list.
Yeah.
I don't.
Go ahead, John. Sorry.
I don't think I would change any. The only thing you can consider there is maybe Tucker Kraft if you have some buy-in on Tucker Kraft over like Musgrave or something. But I think Musgrave is going to have that job at this point, even though I do like Kraft. But I think your order is right on the money. I think it's just Laporta, Kmet, Musgrave, Hawkinson. I think that's pretty straightforward.
You could switch Musgrave and Kmet if you wanted to. That one's close.
Yeah. I think I would. I mean, I know Kraft is probably what keeps that where you want to keep Musgrave down, just the possibility of that. But I'm pretty pro Musgrave. I think that's I think the Kraft talk is a little bit out of control, and I think
he is the Kraft unknown injury right now is really interesting because
part.
If that lingers into the season, that could really catapult Musgrave up draft boards.
100%. All right, let's do sleeper and bust in the division real quick. Ryan, you got a couple that off the top of your head? Or no?
For my sleeper, I mean, I mentioned him earlier. I think Roshan's going to have a bigger piece in the offense. Nothing like seeing a little confirmation bias a couple days ago. You see him catch a pass in the end zone, corner of the end zone from Caleb Williams. You're like, oh yeah, that guy is going to be doing that in the regular season, baby. So he's my sleeper in the NFC North. And then for bust, I was big on this guy early in the season when we were drafting best ball teams. I'm just worried about Jordan Addison. He had such a high touchdown total. I expect regression on that. And when you have what I expect to be a downgrade at quarterback, he's just, I don't think, meant to exceed the value that he gave you last year. So he's going to take a downturn, in my opinion.
Yeah. Sean?
I think Swift is going to be a bust. Unfortunately, I like Swift. I've always liked Swift. He's been an exciting player for a couple of years, but he just never lives up to it. And I think there's too much competition there. For sleepers, I don't know if it counts because he's like kind of a mid-round pick, but I already said I think Romeo Doubs is going to lead the Green Bay room in receiving. I think that's not what people expect is going to happen. I think people are starting to already think about taking Dontavian Wicks over him. As well as Watson and Reed. And if Romeo Doubs is the fourth wide receiver drafted in Green Bay, I'm going to be a happy guy because that is going to be a screaming value because there's no evidence to suggest that he won't lead them in volume because He just already has his last 2 years, even when all those guys have been there. So, yeah.
Nick, what are you thinking?
My bust, I'm going to go with Jamison Williams. He's one of those guys that in best ball, he's probably fine just because he'll have maybe a spike week or two, even though he's never really even had one of those. In redraft managed leagues, he's someone I'm not even considering. And then my sleeper pick, I feel like you don't know ball if you talk about this guy. It's just Dontavian Wicks. I think this guy's going to force his way on the field. I think you could also put Chandler in this conversation. Mira mentioned him earlier. I think Chandler's got a chance to eat into Aaron Jones' work and be a serviceable like fantasy RB2 this year.
Yeah, my two guys are in the same backfield. I'm going to go sleeper. I'm going to go Chandler. And my bust, I'm going to go Aaron Jones. And, I know that's probably the easy way out of trying to hit them both. But I'm making that stand a little bit, and hopefully it pays off. It's not an expensive. It's not a huge move to make, especially in best ball, to be fading Aaron Jones because there's a lot of other good stuff around there, and to hit Ty Chandler in the 15th. Is he going?
Yeah.
Maybe is it? So you're not making a big investment. I like doing that as much as I possibly can, and a lot of fun on the Jefferson and McCarthy teams, as a stack, because he should get some of that role right off the get. Even if Jones stays healthy, he should get some passing opportunities and some touchdowns at the end. So I like that. All right. There's so much more that we could wanted to talk about, but keeping you guys too late, and it's an hour and 15 minutes. All we've done is talk about sports. This isn't just a football podcast. We're supposed to be having fun. So we're going to do the best rivalries draft. I told you guys don't necessarily have to be sports, but we always leave things up to interpretation. You guys do whatever the hell you want, and the voters will decide, I guess. I'm gonna do the order right now, and the number 1 pick is Sean. Number 2 pick Lou. Number 3 pick Ryan, and 4 pick Nick. And we'll do 4 rounds. Sean with the 1-1. What do you got?
I'm going to take the best rivalry in sports, Ohio State and Michigan. I don't think that was ever going to be in doubt, but that is the best rivalry in sports. And I don't even need to make an argument for that one. So
I knew Ryan was hoping that we'd get to him, but I figured.
Yeah, I mean, as the Ohio State, I actually I did some research because I was so expecting this to be my pick. 119 times since 1897, the first matchup, and this is the funniest thing. Just real quick. So apparently, well, I knew this. Ohio State and Michigan share a border, but back in 1835, they went to war over this border. And the one thing that I read about this border was called, or this war, it was called the Toledo War, is that this war did not result in any casualties. So I'm just expecting like a people like standing on either side of the state, just with their fist,
yelling,
what happened? What were they doing? So, the hilarious, but great pick. Easy 101 in my opinion too.
I like it. All right. For the 1-2, I have to look up something. I should have had this figured out, but I just forgot someone's name. All right, I'll ask you guys. Oh, wait, hold on. I got it. Maybe Jamie Lee Curtis and Michael Myers. That is.
Is that a rivalry?
But what was her name in the movie?
Were you worried of that one getting sniped?
Yeah,
Laurie Strode. Her name was Laurie Strode in the movie.
Laurie Strode, yeah. To me, it's my favorite fictional one. No, I was not worried about being sniped, but I wanted everyone to know that it was that strong. I wanted them to know that they were wanted on this team, so I went early and often with them. So yeah, that one I like. Go ahead, Brian.
When you first started saying what you were saying right there, I thought you were talking about Tom and Jerry, and you forgot one of the names of Tom and Jerry. What's his name? What's the guy's name? Tom and what? I can't know. My pick is Tom and Jerry, best fictional.
That's a good one.
I like that.
All right, Ryan, you're up.
Tom and Jerry. He
Is
said.
it Tom?
Oh.
Jerry?
Yeah, Tom and Jerry.
Oh, you really went Tom and Jerry? Oh, okay. I was like, I thought you were mocking me. You're like, oh no, Tom and Jerry. No, that's a good one.
Damn.
Yeah, it's no Michael Myers. But that's good. All right, Nick, you're up.
Ryan foiled one of my third-round picks right there. Damn.
Oh,
All right, let's go with the more conventional little Boston Red Sox versus New York Yankees rivalry. I mean, you don't need to say too much about that. It's one of baseball's best rivalries. It's simmered down a little bit over the years because Boston's been a little bit garbage ever since they traded Mookie Betts. But I mean, before 5 years ago, that was must watch baseball back in the day.
Yep. And you're up for the first pick in the second round.
Let's see. For the next one, we'll take this one to the college basketball streets and go Duke, North Carolina. I pretty much never watch basketball, but 50% of the time that I do, it's usually Duke, North Carolina. That's
Duke.
That's one of the best ones.
Those are two of the best sports ones for sure. So no fighting in
Two of the
that.
favorites.
What
All right.
stupid thing that you got this time?
My next one is the rivalry between iPhone and Android users.
Oh, so good.
That's a good call. That's a good call.
I mean, come on. People who have an iPhone hate Android users, and I think Android, people like Louie, right? I think he's the only Android guy here. Every time we text him, it has to be green. It's not cool. So it's a very big rivalry, and I'm
just doing it out of spite at this point. Like there has been times where I wanted to go and be like, I'll try an iPhone, but every time it's like a clock that I set. Every time someone makes fun of me or it gets pissed off about my text messages, I throw another 3 days on the list, and that's every day. So I'm gonna have an Android for the rest of my life. But that's a very good pick. I like that. My next one is going to be the oldest rivalry in time. God versus Satan. I think that is anybody been fighting longer? Is there no? I mean, the dinosaurs are gone. Was God before dinosaurs? Was God a dinosaur? I don't know. But those two, I think, again, not too religious, but I think those two have been fighting for a while. If they're real. Sorry, don't write letters. I'm sure they're real. Maybe. All right. God versus Satan is a long-term rival. That's my next pick. Sean, you're up for two.
I am going to go with one of the most famous feuds ever. I'm going to go with the Hatfields and the McCoys. Famously feuding for decades, different families. So I think that's a pretty easy one. And then I'm going to go a long way back, not as far back as Louis went, but I'm going to go Athens and Sparta, two Greek cities that competed for control of the Peloponnesian Peninsula for centuries.
That's good.
In days of yore. Yeah.
Days of yore.
Indeed.
I'll finally go a sports one here. I had to go one sports one, and I knew this one Ryan scares me a little bit. And Ryan, when I was doing research today, and you'll remind me, I could swear you've used this as an answer for one of our drafts. And I literally had to go through all of our episodes to see if did we draft rivalries before? So you've talked about this before. Detroit, Colorado, from the 90s, NHL.
Hockey. Yeah.
When I know, so this is nostalgia for me, right? Like, I mean, I'm very big in nostalgia, but like that was, you want to know how big that rivalry was? It was Friday night, and I'm a 14-year-old, and I'm not going out with my friends because I need to stay home and watch those games. And that was just must-watch TV. The fights, Osgood, Vernon, like it just went on. It went on for 2-3 years where it was just ugly. And again, nostalgia. Hockey's my first love, and that was the best rivalry in my favorite sport. So I'm going to go with that. And
just picture the graphic on ESPN2. The games late at night, right? Watching those, that's great. It's a good pick. I'm going to do, and this was we're not supposed to do any local references, right, to Buffalo, but damn it, I don't care. I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to go Northtowns versus Southtowns.
Oh, I thought you were going to go right.
Listen, Northtowners and Southtowns, it's way different, okay? I don't know anything really about the Southtowns. The Southtowns people don't know anything about the Northtowns. They each swear that they're way better than the other. So yeah, that's the next rivalry that I'm thinking.
I will say this for our non-Buffalo listeners, I'm sure that works, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm sure like every city has a North Town and a South Town that hate each other. So I don't think that that's too far off, and that's fine. I like that.
Ryan, I thought you were going Tonawanda, North Tonawanda for sure. I thought you were going. I thought that was what was coming out of your mouth. I was so excited for it.
Nick, for your last two.
All right, give me the early 2000s Baltimore versus Steelers matchups. This is like football that we don't see anymore. Back in the day when they used to take each other's heads off, the games used to be like 13-10. Like first team to score a touchdown would win. Like very rarely do you see football like that anymore. That was some of the early football that really like made me love the game at a young age. So I'll go with Pittsburgh and Baltimore from the early 2000s.
Like that. You got one more, your last pick.
All right, and then we'll go Happy Gilmore and Shooter McGavin. One of my favorite comedies. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that for sports movies, just pure entertainment, just Chubbs, R.I.P. Chubbs. Just a great rivalry.
I like that.
Excellent.
I just found out when he died that Chubbs was Apollo Creed. I never put it together in my dumb stoner brain until he died. Because everyone was saying like R.I.P. Chubbs, and then I was like, no, Apollo Creed died today, guys, and I was like, oh my god, they were the same person. All right, sorry.
Me, right? Yeah. Oh, just continuing on with my theme. I didn't really, go too serious here with my my selection. So when you think of the greatest rivalries of all time, you of course think about Tom versus Time, right? Tom versus Father Time, the documentary about Tom Brady. Tom versus Time. He's the big rivalry of Father Time. So
that's good. I like that. No, that one's good.
There's like 3 different Tom Brady rivalries you could have used. I feel like.
that one's my favorite. For sure. All right, that's good. I'm gonna go with my last pick. Boxers versus briefs. There's their people are very strong in their opinions.
Boxer briefs.
I'm a boxer brief guy, right? Yeah, I combine it. I go, listen, you've made some solid points, and you've made some solid points. Let's get together. And some smart man was sitting there in the middle of this rivalry and said, guys, we can have both. We could have both, and they did it, and whatever. But that rivalry has been going on for a while, and I think everybody has their strong opinion on it. But yes,
but is it really that good of a rivalry when both sides of that argument are just completely wrong, and they're like they should just come to the middle and be boxer brief people? I mean,
is there really a rivalry when both options are touching my balls? I don't think it should be really a rivalry. I don't think it should be something we speak of ever. But we got here, and that's where we are. I wonder. Or wait, we got one more pick, right? Yes, Sean, go ahead, finish it off, and then I got 2 things.
I'm gonna go with something I thought could have gone 101. I'm gonna go Pepsi versus Coke. I think those two. I think there's people have very, very different opinions on both of those pops. I think people who love Coke absolutely love Coke, and people who love Pepsi absolutely love Pepsi. So I think that's pretty strong.
I expected that to go, and I swear to God, earlier today I had a really good counterpoint to why it shouldn't be on here, but that's way out of the brain now. So I'll just say, yeah, sure. Honestly, I went really short list because all mine were pretty original, so I didn't do a lot. My only one that was on my list that I didn't get to was Godzilla versus King Kong. I thought that, but I'm not into those movies, so I wanted to be true to my to my likings. But yeah. Wait, Ryan, you shook your head on that. Did you not? You didn't like that?
No, that's a good one. No, I was shaking my head to the Pepsi versus Coke. I mean, I have a side there. So it's like,
There we go.
All right, before we go, I had something. I just saw them in my notes. A little trivia that I wanted to see if you guys can do. So,
Right up Sean's alley here.
Yeah, we'll see.
I know you guys like some trivia, but I had it the whole list earlier. Okay, here we go. So, 10 players, 10 second generation players signed with teams this year as a rookie. 9 of them were drafted. 1 was an undrafted free agent. You don't have to, we don't have to go in turns or anything. Can you guys name all 10? Go ahead.
10, what's the question?
There's 10 second generation players
Oh.
that signed this year as rookies for teams. 9 of them were drafted. 1 of them just was signed undrafted, but go ahead and name them.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh.
Yep.
Brandon Rice.
Yep. Brandon Rice.
Rice is 2.
Frank Gore Jr.
Gore Jr. is 3. 7 more.
It immediately becomes difficult.
It does when it's not in front of your face. You're going to hate it.
Right.
Spencer Rattler Jr.
It's an interesting choice. Yeah, that's tough. Because not all of them are skill position players, obviously. So
they're not all. They're not all. You are missing. One skill position player left.
Okay.
And a guy that I'm sure you have tapped on.
Okay.
There's one guy that you're going to be really mad about.
Brian Thomas.
No.
Oh, undrafted we're doing, right?
No, drafted, but second generation.
But second generation.
Isn't it Brian Thomas Jr.?
Yeah, but his
dad had to play in the league.
Oh, okay.
They had a league. Yeah. I will go through some of the defensive guys. Give you guys a couple of minutes to maybe think of the good one. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Went to the Eagles, linebacker. Played.
I did. Now you say that, I remember that.
Jonah Ellis. Did not know he defense tackle. Luther Ellis was his father. Don't know.
I don't even know that. Nope.
Joe Alt. I did not know.
I was going to say that.
I did not.
I was going to say that.
His dad was also an offensive tackle, and I remember the name, but through the whole draft process, I never put that together. Chris Jenkins was. Chris Jenkins, his father was defensive back, and he's doing the same thing, junior. And then Javon Foster, Jerome was a defensive lineman in the NFL. Javon is a lineman, but on the offensive side, playing for.
Luke McCaffrey. Luke McCaffrey.
There's Luke McCaffrey.
I was going to say, I had that together.
God, how do we not get that one?
I know.
That one, I'm surprised. The last one's but
that's an easy one. How did we get Brandon Rice before that one?
The last one's Drake Nugent. He signed as an undrafted free agent with the 49ers. But just wanted to see if we could get through that. Luke McCaffrey.
That's the only one we really made.
Yeah.
I feel like
McCaffrey's going to be in your nightmares tonight. Guys, thank you very much for spending this time. Allie, we miss you. We'll see you hopefully next week so I don't have to do this again. And everybody have a good night, and we'll be back next week. Talk to you soon.